I am legitimately terrified by demonic possession.
Yeah, that's a real fear someone sent me. I'm Larry Mullins, the host of a new podcast called Your Weirdest Fears. We're going to unpack where these fears stem from.
I was actually given 2 exorcisms when I was a child.
And with the help of experts, how to manage them. Listen and subscribe to Your Weirdest Fears on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts from.
If you're feeling down and having trouble getting up in the morning, here's a tip. Brush your teeth. That's it. Often when we wake up, our brains go into planning mode, which leads to overthinking and stress before our head even leaves the pillow. Something simple like brushing your teeth can break that cycle and jumpstart your day. This tip was brought to you by BetterHelp Online Therapy, which connects you with a licensed therapist via video, phone, or online chat. Visit BetterHelp.com/positive and save 10% on your first month.
We're coming to you live from the Rocket Mortgage Studios. Need to know what it takes for a home to fit your budget and your family? Rocket can. Well, we have a lot of football still to unpack from the weekend, but we got to take a pause here because we are so pleased to have our next guest in studio. It's Jeff Pearlman, of course, is an award-winning author. He's got a new book out. It's about Bo Jackson. It's Bo Jackson, the last folk hero, the life and myth of Bo Jackson. It's available now wherever you buy books. And Jeff is here with us. I mean, Jeff, you have written about like so many mythic people in sports, like Walter Payton and Brett Favre and the Lakers, the Showtime Lakers, which was chock full, USFL, all these, really big topics like Bo Jackson. I mean, how close is the reality to the myth?
Very, very close.
Really?
Yeah, really close. Like I was thinking about this today. He when he got to the Raiders in 1987, he'd been playing baseball, and he'd run a 4.13 40 in college, which is
crazy.
Preposterous. He was 220 pounds. Like Tyreek Hill does not want to run a 4.13 40. So he shows up with the Raiders. Tom Flores is a coach, and he wants Bo to run a 40 on grass in pads, and they clock him at a 4.19, and Flores says that doesn't seem right. And they do it again, and he runs a 4.17.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
It's just a joke. It's like a joke.
Well, the title, The Last Folk Hero, makes it sort of, to me, implies that there's sort of some myth going on here. And there's some, because I remember him as running for 65 yards on every play. Like, I don't know, and he ended a little bit early. How much of it is just we mythologize Bo Jackson, and how it makes us, you're already answering that question, that it really was this spectacular.
So I thought there'd be more myth than there was, right? Perfect example is like I started working on the book, and people told me there's a game. There's always a game in high school.
Yeah.
Every player.
Everyone's got
game.
one. Yeah.
Everyone's got a game in high school, and he was throwing smoke off the ball. And so there's a game. They're playing Fairfield High. It's McAdory High School is where Bo went, and everyone kept telling me he hit this fly ball to left field, and by the time it came down, he was rounding third. Right now, that sounds preposterous.
Yeah, it sounds like Bugs Bunny type stuff.
100%. So I start talking to people about it who are at the game. Nah, man, that's true. No, okay, no, I'm telling you, it's true. So I tracked down Eddie Scott, Fairfield High's left fielder, and the guy who was in left field. He's like, it's true. He goes, he hit that ball. I could not find it. It was so freaking high. He's like, I couldn't find it. It bounces on the grass, pops up, and when I grab it, I look up to throw, and he's rounding third. He goes, I swear to God, that is the truth. And there's like a million just crazy, crazy mythological Bo Jackson stories, and 90% of them check out.
Oh, that is amazing.
Wow.
Jeff Pearlman is here with us in studio. He's written a new book about Bo Jackson, the last folk hero. So him as he's got these amazing moments. We could talk about the moments, the Brian Bosworth moment, the running up on the back of the in the outfield.
Yeah.
Like there's all these moments, but Bo the person, did you get a sense of what really made him tick? Like what his motivations were as an athlete and how he got to be so great?
Well, I think a lot of it goes back to Bessemer, Alabama, where he's from. He was one of 11 and raised by a single mom. Poor, predominantly African-American neighborhood. He literally grew up in a house with no running water, an outhouse. He would go to elementary school either wearing his sister's shoes, hand-me-downs, or socks, no shoes.
Oh, my gosh.
He was held back in an early grade. He had a severe stutter. His dad lived across town and had nothing to do with him whatsoever. His dad was named A.D. Adams. He had his own family across town. Barely ever looked at Bo Jackson. So as he grew up, he was like this bully. He was a bully of a kid. He used to beat kids up, steal their lunch money, blah, blah. But he also was like, this is going to sound weird, right? He was throwing rocks at cars and other kids. He would get in these crabapple fights. At his house, he had a 5.5 foot fence surrounding his house. So when he needed to escape the house, he would have to jump over the fence because his mom watched the entranceway. It's almost like this old school Rocky montage where you want to know how Bo Jackson became Bo Jackson. He was blessed physically, but he did all these things. He was beating kids up with a bat. He was throwing crab apples. He was jumping over fences, and he arrives at high school and he's a specimen.
I mean, that's pretty amazing. But like that is a crazy mythology. But how does that impact him as a person? Because for us, it's great. We get the Rocky montage. It all makes sense, adds up in like a Slumdog Millionaire kind of way.
Yeah.
But what did that do for him, his psyche growing up in those bad conditions?
Right. That's good. So he that's a good follow-up, I gotta say. Like I was like going on this road and you're like, hey, what was it do? Like he had a brother who went to reform school, and he was terrified of going to reform school because he actually thought, he literally would say, I don't want to go to reform school and get sexually attacked.
Oh,
right?
boy.
He just had this fear, this actual fear that he talked about a lot. And it drove him where he was like, I can't go to reform school. I can't go to reform school, anything but reform school. So when he goes to McAdory High School and there's this track team and a coach is like, hey, you should come out for track. And he's really good at track. Then it's like, you should try baseball. And he's really good at baseball. Then he tries football and he's phenomenal at football. So he was actually motivated by seeing what could be.
Oh, boy.
And like, I can't do that. I can't. And his mom would always threaten to send him to reform school. If you do this, you're going to reform school. So reform school.
Oh, my gosh.
Don't go to reform school.
So
That's a level of stress that I feel like is crazy. Yeah.
Bo Jackson, I think, has done the two-sport thing. I mean, Deion, too, better than anybody. When did that start? I mean, was this a goal of his when he got to high school? He's like, oh, I'm going to be an NFL star and an MLB star? Or did this evolve over the years?
Well, he was actually a three-sport star. So he was his best sport in high school was track. And he's preposterous. Like, he's preposterous. Like, he won back-to-back state decathlon championships. He set 5 individual state records in different events in high school. He won the decathlon twice without doing the last event, the 1500, because he hated distance running. So he got so far ahead, he wouldn't have to do it. His senior year, he won the decathlon on a sprained ankle. A day later, his baseball team was in the state playoffs, and his coach needed someone to pitch. Bo Jackson hadn't pitched at all that year. He starts, strikes out 13, gets the win. It's a joke.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was drafted by the Yankees in the second round out of high school. And his mom really wanted him to go to college. He would have been the first guy to go to a 4-year school out of that family. So he went, and he knew he was going to play both. I don't think he knew he was going to be a pro in both until later on.
Yeah, I mean, and like I always think about Bo Jackson and then today's athlete, right? Because he kind of has some things like, I think about the Odell catch is kind of like the Brian Bosworth run, if that's even true that he actually said, next time I'm going to charge you bus fare. Is that the legend about Bosworth?
About Bo saying it to Bosworth.
Yeah, right.
I'm a little skeptical on that one. So yeah.
But it's a great line.
Yeah.
But like I think about Odell's one-handed catch against the Dallas Cowboys. And I think about these moments that Bo had that would have been viral back then. These things that he's known for was he the beginning of like what we're seeing now with the modern athlete where you're known for these moments almost more than your full career?
Man, that's a great point. I would actually say yes. Because when people think about Bo Jackson, okay, they think about running up the wall.
Yep.
They think about Monday Night Football, 2 things, running 91 yards down the sidelines, which, by the way, one of the Seahawks coaches said he was holding notes, and the notes literally got sucked out of his hand when Bo ran by, and he swore on it. He's like, I'm telling you. And also running over Boz. He's known for leading off the All-Star game. 1989, he leads off the All-Star game with a home run with Vin Scully and Ronald Reagan in the booth with the Bo Knows ad campaign premiering in that game. So, like, timing was everything.
Yep.
So all these little moments they actually are what we remember about Bo. And I can't say, like, he spearheaded a movement, but I think he was a precursor to what was to become.
Yeah, because unfortunately his career didn't last very long because of his
the hip injury.
Yeah, the hip injury, which ended his career. How does he feel, or people around him? I know you did talk to him, but like, how does he feel about his career that was cut short?
I feel like this is the best thing about Bo Jackson. He truly doesn't give a crap. Like,
really,
when people are like, "You could have been Jim Brown," or "You could have been Mike Trout," he doesn't care. He just doesn't care. He's not losing sleep over not being either Hall. Right now, he's a grandfather, which makes me feel old. He lives in suburban Chicago. He shovels his own driveway. He drives a Ford truck. He goes hunting. Like, people are like, oh, if only you didn't. And he's never been like that. He's like, this is my life, man. I'm happy.
Is that because, like, growing up in the poverty and sort of already feeling like you've made it and he accomplished so many things that he doesn't have regrets? Or he's just a man who's at peace with himself? Or
he truly, truly, truly wanted what he didn't have as a kid, which is a stable family life. And he's had a wife for almost 40 years. He has 3 kids who are all adults. He's a grandfather. Like, I think that's what he craved more than anything. And he got it.
I am legitimately terrified by demonic possession.
Yeah, that's a real fear someone sent me. I'm Larry Mullins, the host of a new podcast called Your Weirdest Fears. We're going to unpack where these fears stem from.
I was actually given 2 exorcisms when I was a child.
And with the help of experts, how to manage them. Listen and subscribe to Your Weirdest Fears on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Talking to Jeff Pearlman, the author of the newest book, The Last Folk Hero, on Bo Jackson. Now, you've written some books about somewhat controversial figures and figures who weren't controversial, but you really, I think, painted a fuller picture of their lives. I'm thinking of the Walter Payton book. Mm. When you write these books, how much you think about possible backlash?
I always think about it, but it's the inexact nature of biography, and it's the flaw of biography. Like my wife always says to me, she's like, I don't know how you do blank. Like, how do you do that? I write a biography of Walter Payton. I found out that at the end of his life, Walter Payton was severely depressed and that he was writing suicidal notes. Now, if you're writing a definitive biography of someone, you have to include that. But it's going to hurt feelings. It's going to hurt his kids' feelings and his widow's feelings. And I don't really know a solution to that. Mm-hmm. But if you enter the field where you decide you're going to write definitive books and biographies, you don't really have a choice. But it sucks.
Is this book about Bo Jackson, are there possibly going to be backlash something here? Do you think Bo would be upset or the fans would be upset? Because he's got very loyal fans.
I think he's going to like this book a lot if he reads it. I'd say the two, like, quote unquote controversial, which isn't really that controversial. Number one, he was definitely getting paid in college, but I know.
Charles Barkley was also at Auburn. I think he's mentioned things like that.
It's so funny how I'm like, I have some bad news for you guys. When Bo Jackson was playing in the SEC in the 1980s, and it's like,
that's a good one, Jeff.
Yeah, I know, that's a good one. And then it's minor, but like, he liked the ladies in college, but he was in college. If I had any game, I would have liked the ladies. It's just like the thing,
Yeah, but there's nothing like that people are going to be horrified to find out or depressed. Well, depressed about maybe his childhood, but where really the myth does match the man.
He's great.
Yeah.
Like, he is actually great. And
it's so refreshing.
He is. He really is. I'm like, all the stories behind what he did. I mean, like, when he climbs a wall and makes that catch, right? I talked to a guy who played with him on the Memphis Chicks in 1986, Bo's one minor league season. And he's like, as soon as I saw that, I remembered a game in Charlotte when he climbed up the wall too. And then Willie Wilson was playing in the outfield with him that day. And Willie Wilson's like, I saw him do that in spring training, and I kept betting my peers that one day this guy's going to climb up a wall. And I called them all and collected money. And my favorite thing about that is I talked to a ton of major leaguers who told me that night and then the day after, in their own parks, they were all trying to run up the wall.
Oh, yeah, to try to do it.
And they kept falling, and nobody could do it. And I think it's the most amazing highlight of all time because we've seen great throws, we've seen great runs. We've literally, never before, never since have we seen someone run up the outfield wall. Never.
No, absolutely
It's insane.
It's kind of shocking that more things you've written about haven't become like big TV series or movies, but obviously Showtime Lakers was a really good one, and it got such a critical acclaim. It was a commercial hit too. Everyone was watching it, and that was such a unique book. The question I have for you now is, like, clearly the Lakers are struggling now early on in the season. When you were writing that book, Jeannie Buss was like a minor-ish character then because Jerry Buss, her father, was such a large character. Did they see things in her then that would equip her now for dealing with the type of adversity that the Lakers are going through? Because she's really the person in charge right now.
I know. I think at the time, in the series, her role is definitely a little steroided up. Like, her role with the team back then wasn't quite what they have it. I mean, it's dramatic TV. She headed the tennis team, the LA Strings. That was her assignment back then. She was in charge of the strings. And I think her dad was sort of trying to groom her to greater things. But did he think one day my daughter is going to be running the Lakers at that point in 1980? Definitely not. Definitely not. Not at that point at all. He did not. Just to be blunt, it wasn't a woman's world then. Definitely like, it just was a foreign idea. So I don't think so. And I actually, I'm a huge Jeannie admirer. Like, she's great. She's really nice. But I live out in Southern California. It's crazy how angry people are about what's going on. It's just, I'm from New York, so I have seen stuff like that.
We're angry about everything.
Yeah, but people in LA generally aren't.
Yeah.
And it's very intense right now.
This might be impossible to answer, but if Jerry Buss was still alive today, what would be going on with the Lakers? Do you think anything would be different, or it's a different NBA now too that exists where superstars have so much power, although Magic had a lot of power even back in the 80s, but would it be any different if Jerry Buss was still alive?
Well, number one, let's go hypothetical. He comes back. Okay. He comes back. Jerry Buss comes back today.
He rises from. Yeah.
I mean, Pelinka would be gone in a second. It's not his kind of guy. It's not his kind of executive, blah, blah, blah. He would be very hands-on. I don't think Russell Westbrook could ever see the court again in L.A. I think he'd be horrified times a million because, yeah, he was an entertainment guy and entertainment was very important to him. But winning and losing there was dignity to it. And that team right now has, I hate to say it, zero dignity. It's just a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I'm plugged for Winning Time. It's the only reason I'm keeping HBO Max right now. But I know they're shooting, and I'm a Sixers fan. I didn't think the Dr. J actor was quite tall enough, but the casting's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The casting is unbelievable. Are they going to make a Dallas Cowboys series ever on your Cowboys book, or is it too R-rated that they couldn't even do it? I mean,
someone bought the rights. So basically, what happens is when you have a series made on one of your books, all of a sudden you become hot. Like these books have been.
I was wondering that.
Yeah, all of a sudden stuff gets optioned. So I have a lot of things optioned right now, but. Just because something is optioned doesn't mean that. There's so many hoops to jump through and hurdles and obstacles.
Oh, the USFL book, Football for a Buck, would be a great
Does
great
anyone
movie
really want to see Trump I just think Trump is kind of the obstacle there. Like, I think we've had enough.
Well, I'm old enough to actually, I want to see about Chuck Fusine and the Philadelphia Stars. I don't need Trump. Yeah.
Wait, Perloff had some pitches that he wanted to make to Jeff.
Jeff
who lives and dies and with every single book.
My sister-in-law Leah does this all the time. Yeah. She'll be like, "I have a great book idea for you," and it'll be like, "What about the turtles of the Galapagos?"
Yeah. Would you ever write a book about pro wrestling in the '80s?
Yes,
I think because I don't know why. This is my youth, and I feel like there's so much territory there. Hulk Hogan, the rise of that. Because it's also like some of your other books, a national book about everything else that's going on around at the time in the country.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay,
I think it's a little broad. I like tight subjects.
Yeah.
But I do think it could be really fun.
Wait, give them all the rest and have them pick
Michael
the best
Jordan.
Shoot, wait, I'll just go yes or no.
Okay. Yeah.
No, too done.
2004 Red Sox.
Don't care.
I know you don't like this person, Pete Rose.
Kasia Kennedy wrote, a former colleague,
wrote
a very good Pete Rose biography. Okay. I feel like if someone does one recently.
Okay. Spygate, Deflategate, Bountygate, NFL scandals.
No.
Not at all?
Zero. This doesn't interest me because to write a book, you have to love a subject, and to spend 2 years writing about stuff that I've not that much interest in, it wouldn't really do it for me.
That's all I got for you.
How do you reconcile Favre now? Because
I don't. I literally went on social media and told people don't buy this book because he's not worth your time. Yeah. I am horrified by Brett Favre. This is what I say real quick. This is my point always. You're Brett Favre. Okay, we get it. You're from Mississippi and you grew up a certain way. You spend your career with the most diverse clientele of people ever. You have teammates from all walks of life, right? You've seen what it is to grow up poor and African-American in America. And you take freaking welfare money so you can have a gym bill when you have the money yourself to do it. And you know what? Honest to God, we should have been on him the minute he sent his pictures to Jen Sturger, and we should have been done with that guy. And we weren't. We gave him a second chance because he can throw far and he's country and a gunslinger.
Well, he was kind of like mythological. Not like Bo Jackson was on a whole other level, but Favre had that mythic kind of quality too.
Yes, but I think we fall in love with athletes and we let them do some stuff. And I'm telling you, as soon as he ruined her life.
Yeah,
he ruined Jen Sturger's life. And the moment he sent those pictures, the NFL should have been done with him, but of course they weren't, and we should have been done with him.
Yeah, you're right. And it's now it's like I know Jen a little bit, and she still works through it. Every time a headline comes up with him in it, she gets like the blowback from it, and it's just a weird, awful thing.
I know her too, and one, she's a really good person.
Yep, she is.
And she's had to live with this crap for years, and it's just not fair. And we just painted Brett Favre as this great guy. Not in my book necessarily, but just we all paid attention to him. I should have never written that book, to be honest with you.
That's why it's such a high wire act what you do in some ways, because your words get printed and they're in the books, and you have to live with that. Not to make you angry.
It wasn't to be clear, I just, in my little defense, it was not a love letter book to Brett Favre at all.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, if I could take that book back, I would just never touch that subject.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you didn't have to have that kind of crisis of moral conscience with Bo Jackson, because it seems like he actually is a genuinely good person.
I believe he is.
That is great. The Last Folk Hero, The Life and Myth of Bo Jackson. This is so in our wheelhouse, Jeff. Thanks for writing this book. Good luck, and stop by again soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Jeff Pearlman, award-winning writer. Can never say that. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up next, hear what Aaron Rodgers said about the Packers' third straight loss. We got that for you in just a minute. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff straight ahead.
Hey, it's Kenny Mayne. This is a promotion of Hey Mayne, the Kenny Mayne Talks to Famous People podcast. We got lots of famous people, Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann.
We got away with 99% of what we tried to do.
I'm mad at him because I know that he'll regret it, but I know that he has to leave.
Sue Bird is involved, Rex Chapman, Dan Lebitard, Katie Nolan, Allison Becker. Sorry for all the others I interviewed who I left out. Oh, yeah, Soledad O'Brien. She was good. Get it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I am legitimately terrified by demonic possession.
Yeah, that's a real fear someone sent me. I'm Larry Mullins, the host of a new podcast called Your Weirdest Fears. We're going to unpack where these fears stem from.
I was actually given 2 exorcisms when I was a child.
And with the help of experts, how to manage them. Listen and subscribe to Your Weirdest Fears on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Hey, it's Kenny Mayne. This is a promotion of Hey Mayne, the Kenny Mayne Talks to Famous People podcast. We got lots of famous people, Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann.
We got away with 99% of what we tried to do.
I'm mad at him because I know that he'll regret it, but I know that he has to leave.
Sue Bird is involved, Rex Chapman, Dan Lebitard, Katie Nolan, Allison Becker. Sorry for all the others I interviewed who I left out. Oh, yeah, Soledad O'Brien. She was good. Get it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.